profit margins it's making.
Yeah,
Now,
but for the credit that's being pumped in, they're hiring a labor force.
can you prove why that labor force, specifically in the context of Starbucks, has any significance at all as far as Starbucks' ability to turn a profit?
How do baristas have any significance in Starbucks' ability to turn a profit?
No, how does their labor, if any, exists at all?
What do you mean? How would a Starbucks functionally operate? Like, if Starbucks isn't selling a commodity to the people and they're only selling an experience, how does Starbucks sell that experience without the people who are People don't just want to sit in Starbucks. They want to get a coffee too. They want to get whatever stupid cake pop that Starbucks offers. They're not just like, oh,
can I ask you a question?
Here,
Yeah,
no desserts
sure.
here. Let me
Keep
just
venting.
sit in this
Please
empty venue. I'm not venting, but I'm saying.
Yeah. So my question for you is: are you mentally retarded?
That happened with. Can you explain why what I said is wrong?
Well, I just distinctly recall telling you or posing the question to you: why would it make a difference if they just had machines do it all?
Why don't they do that then?
Well, hypothetically, if they had the ability for machines to do all of it, how would that affect Starbucks' ability to turn a profit?
I mean, they would just. I mean, if anything, they would be able to make more money because they wouldn't have the gigantic cost that it costs.
So don't say the baristas are the reason Starbucks makes a profit, because they're not.
Labor is the reason they make a profit, and the people performing that labor happen to be the organic human beings behind the counter.
And this is a good case study. This is a good case study. Why are you a Marxist? Because you clearly haven't read Marx. You don't know anything about Marxism. Just like why why do you even care about Marxism?
I've read plenty of Marx, but I cited what Engels' definition of the proletariat was, and you said that wasn't relevant. So what does reading Marx even matter if those things, then when they were written in the time, have no relevance?
Let me explain
what we're talking about.
No, I'll explain it. Sure. When Engels wrote Principles of Communism, he was writing a fucking pamphlet for a random fuck on the street during his specific time period. Whereas Marx, who wrote Capital, had a very specific, methodical, and precise breakdown of how labor produces surplus value and how it does. He did not say the presence of employees as an expense in and of itself proves that they're productive laborers. Why? Because Marx, especially throughout Capital Volume 2, gives plenty of examples of workers who are employees who only count as an expense, not as productive laborers. The example he gave were clerks. Okay? So
baristas are not clerks.
Now I'm asking you, how do baristas produce surplus value? How do baristas produce surplus value? How is it that their labor... See, when you say that without the... See, I'm going to explain basic logic to you. Basic logic. When you say that without the labor of the baristas, Starbucks couldn't turn a profit, that's fine. That's like saying if I shit in the chimney of a Starbucks and it blew up, that it wouldn't be able to turn a profit. Great. That's an operational necessity for Starbucks. But there's a difference between the labor being an operational necessity for a Starbucks coffee shop versus the labor being causally responsible and essentially responsible for the profit that it turns. See, those are two completely different things. Something being an operational necessity does not prove it is actually the reason or source of actual value or profit. And that is Marxism 101.
Worker is having no surplus value extracted in the course of an hour of their time, which they're making probably like
there is no
average.
There is no surplus value. That Starbucks does not produce. Starbucks does not produce any surplus value at all, period.
Sector of the working class is producing surplus value.
The only real section of the working class in the traditional Marxist sense that you could justify is producing surplus value is the one that is actually involved in the transformation of nature. That's the blue-collar working class. Now, even if we understood that to be the successor to the classical proletariat, the nature of capitalism, if any still exists at all, has clearly changed. Clearly, the understanding of class you and the overwhelming majority of Marxists have is baseless. Why even call it a class? Why not just say, there was something called the Zeitgeist movement like 10 years ago, and they were these utopians who said, we want to just have everyone live in a big glass dome, and we want everyone to live on a commune and own everything together. The burden is upon you to just make evident and make clear that that's just what you want. Don't sit here and try to define, as if this is scientific, something going on in objective material reality on the basis of what you want. Prove to me the scientific significance of not owning the means of production in actual objective reality. Because Marx and Engels, when they were living, had a very clear reason for defining the relations of production in actual reality, and these were scientific categories that could tell us something about reality, observable reality, right? Whereas you are just defining people's class on the basis of your utopian end goal, not on the basis of the material significance it exerts in actual material reality.
I mean, that's just literally, you're just like projecting something, because I don't even believe in what the Zeitgeist movement supports. I don't.
Okay, but you can't. Okay, but you clearly think there is something essentially significant about not owning the means of production in this context, right?
Well, I think there's something that could tie people who don't own the means of production together in an economy. So therefore, I think there are baristas who I literally know some baristas.
So no, I'm going to explain your thinking to you. I'm going to explain your thinking to you.
What's the reason of why they support those rail workers? These baristas that I know, that I'm friends with. Why do they support them? What is tying them to support the rail worker? What ideology, aside from understanding what it means?
Because they are only doing so as intelligentsia, not as fucking baristas. If they were doing it as fucking baristas, then the representative of baristas, the Starbucks union, would have been the biggest advocate for the rail workers.
How does labor aristocracy have anything to do with actual laborers? Okay. Starbucks union leaders, that's a labor aristocracy, little Democrat people.
So why do Starbucks baristas exist as a social category then? Why don't you just say...
Why do any baristas exist as a social category?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you.
Why? Because people fucking want coffee.
How does that justify some kind of group that has common interests?
I don't understand how they don't have any common interests. That's what I'm trying to understand. I don't understand how they don't.
So that's what I've been trying to explain to you. That's what I've been trying to explain to you. I don't think you've done a very
good job.
So you clearly have some view that there is an essential significance to not owning the means of production. Now, I think the reason that is, and I'm saying think being very charitable because I pretty much know it, the reason that is because you believe that if everyone owned the means of production together in the specific way you envision it, that would solve all the problems of society. Okay, very well. That is still a utopian and not a scientific outlook. You're not actually telling us anything demonstrable about reality itself in the material sense. You're just telling us the extent to which you want this specific outcome.
What specific outcome do I want? I don't
understand. Want everyone to be in a workers' co-op owning the means of production, quote unquote.
I barely even support workers' co-ops.
Okay, well, you want whatever you want, right? The state owning it, whatever the fuck you want, it doesn't matter. You clearly think the remedy to all the society's ills is if we all own the means of production.
I don't necessarily think. I think it's if there's a state that's in place that represents the people's needs, who owns the means of production. I think that's fine. I don't think we need every worker to individually own the means of production.
Okay, can we walk through this? Let's walk through this.
Sure.
Why do you think it's significant when people don't own the means of production?
Well, I think it's significant. You're asking me what ties rail workers to Starbucks baristas?